Hello, everybody. It's me, Will, and real quick before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that this video episode has a bunch of glitches where our webcam would just freeze and drop out. Anyway, we apologize. It's happened in the past as well, but not this badly ever. However, we think we've got it solved so it never happens again. We hope. Who knows? Enjoy the show.
You don't have to say no to all fun just because you invite in the spiritual.
It's not the behavior I expect from a shaman.
Hello, welcome to Guide to the Unknown. I'm Kristen.
And I'm her little brother, William.
And this week we are here to talk about The Lowe Files, a 2017 reality show from Rob Lowe, Matthew Lowe, and John Owen Lowe.
Yes, Rob Lowe, very famous performer.
Yep.
Known best for WW1 and WW2. Sorry, that's how I refer to them. Wayne's World and West Wing.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm not wrong.
I guess you're not.
It's weird that he's in two WWs.
I don't think that's what he's best known for, though.
Wayne's World and West Wing?
I don't think so now. Not now. Now it's Parks and Rec.
Now it's Parks and Rec.
Yeah. But that's excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He's been through two WWs.
He's been through two WWs. I'm really worried about WW3. I don't know what that could turn out to be.
But thank God he's here.
Thank God. We've got Rob Lowe.
We can push him to the front lines.
It is a generational tale of a father traveling with his two sons as they investigate the paranormal. Yeah. It's arguably, like on the surface of things, it's another ghost hunting show.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very charming. The opening is, I wrote down part of the opening. It wasn't, well, he says, since I was a little boy, I've loved spooky legends and scary mysteries. And when I had boys of my own, we bonded over those mysteries. We swore that one day we'd find out those answers together.
Yeah.
Which is very sweet. Mm-hmm. And
show... that opening that's happening over video footage of them from, like, it looks like maybe it's like 10 or more years ago, where they're on a road trip together and they're looking for Bigfoot tracks. So...
which is adorable.
The proof is in the pudding that they have been doing this kind of thing together. It's very cute.
Yes. I mean, they may have, joked about Sasquatch one time 15 years ago.
Of course.
But it's nice. And it's Rob Lowe and his sons who are in college at this point, and they've gotten together to shoot a TV series.
Yeah.
What a weird life.
Totally.
That must be.
Yeah.
But it was very enjoyable. We'll do recommends maybe here at the top.
Yeah, I recommend it.
I mean,
we only watched
Files.
the first episode this go round, but I watched it with rapt attention as it came out week to week back in 2017.
So did I. I
Loved
remember loving it and being shocked that there were not more episodes. It was canceled after one season, 9 episodes.
Yeah. I wonder if it was even canceled or if it was just like, I don't know, we're not going to keep doing this. I don't know. It very well may have been.
Yeah. I can't really tell. The series is not a traditional ghost hunting show in the sense that almost every episode seems to focus on a different aspect of the paranormal or the supernatural. So
yeah, it's not a different location.
Yeah, they don't just go
places.
they don't do the Bagans thing of like, now we're at this place now, but we're doing the same thing week to week. It's all EMF readers and yada, yada, yada. They would go to investigate Area 51 in one episode. Then they're trying to find Bigfoot in an episode. It almost feels like they treated strange topics as an umbrella.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's our ghost episode, here's our alien episode. And at a certain point, you run out when you do it that way. So it may have just run its course.
I wouldn't be surprised if they knew that it was going to be a one-off season where they're like, let's tackle all these things.
Maybe.
And that's it.
Possibly.
Again, the boys are in college. Rob Lowe's booked and busy.
Matthew and John Owen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying their names is very funny to me.
Matthew.
They're valid names. It's funny. Matthew and John Owen.
There's something about John Owen in
of
particular.
Of course.
It's just a mouthful to say John Owen all the time.
And I guess it's that it's Matthew and not Matt. They both feel foreign. Not foreign, formal.
Foreman.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
This isn't great.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
You're right. They do feel very formal. Matthew, come here, please.
Yeah. John Owen. Yeah.
I think there's a ghost behind you.
Right.
No, I recommend it too. I thought this was great. It was very charming.
Rob Lowe's little face is very funny.
His little face, his little smirk.
Yeah, pulling little faces. Even when he's scared, it's like he looks cute.
He looks like a little boy who's just having fun. He couldn't feel more safe.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think this fella,
Safest houses.
this guy he's the anti-Bagans.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Bagans stubs his toe and says that a banshee did it.
Right.
And falls all over him. So look at my goosebumps, bro. And Rob Lowe's just like, this is incredible. I'm here with my kids.
I'm doing this with my boys.
This is wonderful.
My best friend Shaman John is here.
Shaman John. Oh, there's a lot to talk about, everybody.
I totally forgot about Shaman John.
So did I.
I was shaman shocked when he popped on the scene.
As was I. Oh, yes. There's plenty to talk about. We're going to get into the Lowe files after this commercial break.
Okay, so did you remember like anything about this? Because I really didn't. I just remember, not that you necessarily would, but I really just remembered that it was fun. Honestly, I remembered his little face. I remember being like, it's very cute and funny. He's just like, oop, eep, op.
Yes, Rob Lowe is at this point, so this is almost 10 years ago. So he's probably in his late 40s, early 50s?
Probably.
I don't know.
I think he's at peak fame.
At that point?
I think
when
so.
this show aired?
Yeah, because I guess Parks and Rec is happening when this aired or wrapped up.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think he's like at peak power.
Well, what's your history with Rob Lowe?
The same. I like Rob Lowe. I don't have like a very strong history with him. But I like Rob Lowe. I think he's a fine actor. And yeah, I have positive feelings toward Rob Lowe.
I wonder if I think he's a fine actor. I suppose I think he's a fine actor.
Yeah.
I think that he's almost like a stunt actor or something. Like I feel like you look at a Rob Lowe performance and you're like, that's Rob Lowe. It's not like you get lost.
Feel like his fame eclipses his performances?
Yeah, I don't know why. He's one of those performers, though, where it's just like, it's funny to see him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's like...
He's fun.
He's fun. He's enjoyable as a presence.
He is. Yeah, he's great to see.
Yes, he is.
My eyes like to see him.
Mine too. When I'm looking at him, I'm pleased. I remember him most fondly from WW1.
Oh, absolutely.
Wayne's World. Benjamin.
My favorite movie.
If he was an ice cream flavor, he'd be pralines and dick. Never understood that joke as a kid. Never knew what the hell they were
There's
talking
not
about.
much to understand.
Didn't even know what pralines were. I was like, there's not a part of Garth's joke about Rob Lowe being an ice cream flavor that made any sense to me.
And famously in our family, we would watch Wayne's World and I would ask Mom, what does that mean? What does that mean? And Mom would go, I don't know. And that really stands out to me as something where I said, what does that mean? And Mom went, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that one I could see being like, I don't know.
I literally don't know. I don't know. Dana Carvey said something silly and they kept it in the movie.
Right.
When at the end of Wayne's World, he gets out of his little red Corvette to run into Wayne's house and he's like kind of like walking funny. I was like, I don't know why. Because here's what happens. Can I go on a quick Wayne's World tangent? This is important.
Who are you asking?
This is important.
Of course.
The Lowe Files is a show that I think is about the tangents.
Yeah.
So I think a tangent.
The Lowe Files is a show I think is a spiritual successor to Wayne's
to
World.
WW1.
And in this essay.
Yes, in our video essay.
Yeah.
In Wayne's World, the following events take place in order. Rob Lowe is trying to stop Wayne's pirate broadcast, which he's broadcasting from home in his basement. He gets pulled over by a cop who's a plant to stop Rob Lowe. And he pulls on a latex glove, which as a kid I didn't know meant that he was going to do a rectal search.
No.
But then when they pull up to the Wayne's World house, Rob Lowe gets out and he's walking funny.
He's like waddling.
Because his ass hurts.
Yeah.
But if you recall the end of Wayne's World, they do multiple gag endings. And in the Scooby-Doo ending, they unmask Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
And he's revealed to have been an old man the whole time.
Yeah.
I, as a kid, trying to figure out what the hell was going on, I was like, oh, I guess he was walking funny up to the house because he is an old man.
Oh, I can see that. I understand that kid logic.
The kid logic. I was like, there was a clue that Rob Lowe's character was secretly an old man in a Rob Lowe mask.
Yeah.
Because he waddled up like an old man with like a broken hip or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not know about an anal search.
No, not
when I was a child.
Nor did I.
There
are so many jokes I did not understand.
So strange.
Yeah.
So strange.
On the subject of all those fake endings, do you remember that I had a project for school where I had to, I guess, interview maybe Dad or something? I said I had to interview somebody who was on video, and I interviewed Dad, and then you came in at the end and you did Fish Face from Wayne's World, and like we're doing that in the camera.
Is that what that was? Was I doing Fish Face from Wayne's World?
Yeah.
I thought I was just being a silly kid being like fishy, fishy, fishy. Maybe you're right. Maybe
I don't know. I guess you would know better than I would. I could just be tainting
I was like 7. I have no
I could be
recollection.
tainting it with my love of Wayne's World. I don't know.
From my perspective, I remember you doing a video project at home, and then I ran in and started mugging to the camera, and you got really upset with me.
I was.
You were really annoyed at me.
Yeah. But I thought it was that.
Yeah. Did that stay in your presentation?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't have access to Adobe to cut it out.
You didn't have Premiere Pro
Yeah.
in the early 90s?
Yeah.
I guess not. So your friends at school just had to see your little brother running and do fishy?
They loved it. Yeah.
Great.
But I was annoyed.
Congratulations. I probably got you a high grade.
I'm sure you did.
Anyway. Other Rob Lowe history. I got into Wayne's. Sorry. I got trapped.
When you got into Wayne's World.
I got trapped in a time loop for a moment and almost started talking. I almost had a WW1 flashback. I just start talking about the same thing over and over again. No, in fact, it was fast forward to WW2.
Yeah.
Allie showed me West Wing. Around 2015, 2016, which was a very distinct period of American history.
Yes.
And really enjoyed it, really enjoyed Rob Lowe in it. And I think it might be one of the only things I've seen of Rob Lowe being a serious performer.
Yeah.
And he's good in it too. Like I think everything else that I've seen, I didn't watch Parks and Rec, but I've seen a handful of episodes to see that his character is like overly positive, very kind of like silly and strange, which is how he is in real life, it seems.
Yeah,
going by the Lowe files, very positive,
yes,
very high energy.
Seems like a sweet man.
Yes. He's got his shares of controversies, perhaps.
Yeah. Yes.
But he does seem to be a very positive fella. And so I like him, and I had fond memories of the Lowe files.
Yes, me
too.
But
just like our tangents, I remember how this show, well, I don't exactly remember how this episode started, but I was not at all shocked that they start by being like, well, boys, we're going to visit Preston Castle. But first, I want to get a donut.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what?
I feel like that's also just a hallmark of these kinds of shows is like, let's have a fun bit of business. Like even on some episodes of, when I say these kinds of shows, it's just a certain brand of like A&E reality show or something, even Ghost Hunters or something, but every once in a while they're, I don't know, going to a diner for a spell. And
is that right?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't seen that much from a ghost show.
Not for long, but it's like, let's get a little of their personalities outside of the serious stuff.
Rob Lowe mugging to the camera about how he wants a particular donut and that this donut store doesn't offer that many donuts.
Yeah.
It felt like he was shooting The Office or something. I guess Parks and Rec did this too, the Talking Heads thing.
Yeah, they did.
He turns to the camera a lot to address the camera directly about what he's experiencing.
Yep.
And the donut situation was one of those. But then they go outside after getting the donuts, and there are all these people there because celebrity Rob Lowe is there.
Yeah.
And so they want to take a bunch of pictures with him and stuff. And he's clearly having so much fun taking pictures with people. But in the edit of the show, they pump in this like really casual rock score.
Yeah.
And it gave me flashbacks to like Viva La Bam.
Yeah.
It was like Bam Margera is like, you know, like, so weird. What does she put on my pancakes, ape? April put like little fir tree things. Goes, what is this, a tree? She goes, it's Arbor Day, Bam. Arbor Day? Who celebrates Arbor Day? And then they go out to the forest, but on the way to the forest, they sign a bunch of skateboards for kids to rock music. Right. It was like,
so just them having bits of business made you think of Viva La Bam?
No,
plus the music?
The good guy, famous guy with fans story beat.
That's surprising that reminds you of Bam.
Why?
Good guy, famous guy.
Well, Viva La Bam. Viva La Bam. Not Bam Margera today.
I know.
Viva La Bam, where like he's skating. You know, they're doing some stupid, they're making Treetop Eddie's Forest Casino with Brandon DiCamillo. And then, you know, he does like stop and like talk to like fist bump kids who are skateboarding or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the show needs a rhythm to remind you that this is a show about a famous person, a real life famous person who's really good to their fans.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a glaze of phony baloney off of this at all, but it was weird. It's just Rob Lowe. I don't know. Maybe I'm also removed from the idea of being like, it's a celebrity. I've got to walk over them and talk to them and hug them. But it's just like, Rob Lowe and John Owen and Matthew were just getting a donut and getting in the car, and they have like a full like 3 to 5 minute beat of him being like, I love this job. Like hugging people. It just seemed, I don't know, potentially excessive.
I could see that. I think it was pretty quick. And just, I would imagine just in there that was like, this is my life.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Do you think that's really? Do you think that's really what it's like?
Yes.
To be that famous.
Yes, I do. I definitely do think, especially then, that he would go to a donut shop in the middle of nowhere where they're not used to seeing celebrities and be like, "What the fuck? Why? Excuse me. Why is Rob Lowe here?" Yeah,
true. And then there's a tag at the end of the episode where there's a local news report.
Yeah, this was weird. I was like, why do you need this? Do you need to pad for time?
Well, this is what I mean. There's like, I don't get ego off of this show. I think that Rob Lowe did this show and was having fun.
Yeah.
And I think the editing team, if anything, was like, we need for our network, for our sales thing to be like, this is megastar doing a thing on our network.
So he was very clearly megastar. It's not necessarily big. Hey, just so you guys know, this is a famous guy. He's been very, very famous for like 40 years or something. 30.
It's weird to cut in the local news broadcast about Rob Lowe visiting a donut store.
Slice of life they thought was like fun and funny. I really do. I really don't think that they felt there was any need to hammer home that this is a famous guy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But I do think it's weird. I don't think it added much of anything.
Yeah,
I was like, all right, that's enough.
Pointless, except to remind you that
I think they thought it was fun, and they're trying to show. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know why.
Well,
it's kind of pointless.
The point of their episode here is to go to what they call the Haunted Boys Reformatory, Preston Castle.
Yeah.
What's your history with Preston Castle?
Oh, I don't know. Do we have a history with Preston Castle?
We do have a history with Preston Castle.
Oh, you tell me.
We have digitally visited Preston Castle in Ghost Adventures episode 9 of our short-lived spin-off series, which now is housed on patreon.com/gttupod. We watched Zach Bagans and crew go to Preston Castle, and I revisited some of our coverage. There was this may be the one thing that rings a bell to you. There was a guy who worked at Preston Castle and then contacted Zach to be like, something happened to me, and sent Zach a picture of his ass.
Oh my God, I absolutely remember that.
The side of his ass. He was like, it got me on the thigh. And then they show the picture and it's like his pants pulled all the way down to like his knees. That was Preston Castle.
Oh, nice.
Where Rob Lowe took John Owen.
Yeah.
And Matthew.
Hell yeah.
Also, Ghost Adventures has gone there.
Okay.
At a certain point, a haunted location, it's almost like part of their... like part of what we do here, it's preservation of history.
Yeah.
And also we do ghost hunting shows. We have every ghost hunting program come.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be fascinating.
They must get paid to have their place used on a show. Because you're basically the set for a show.
You're the set, right. Yeah, I bet you do.
So why wouldn't you?
I bet you do. And and
then if you do tours at that place and everything, it's publicity.
Yes. I bet that they have to pay whatever guides are going to walk them through the location, and I bet they at minimum have to make a charitable donation to the historical, the upkeep of a place. It would be a fascinating experiment to pick a location that has had a handful of shows go there, watch all those episodes, and cross and compare all of their evidence.
Okay, Liz basically just did this. It's like you set me up. So thank you. We have an episode of Dead Time, which is a Patreon show, that Liz basically just did that. It just came out yesterday. Yeah.
I didn't finish it yet.
No, that's fine. But yeah, we watched an episode of Portals to Hell, and then Liz, doing her research, found out that this location that they did on Portals to Hell was on other ghost shows. And so she watched those ghost shows, and she talked a little bit about what was shown on those and wasn't shown on Portals to Hell and like whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Dead Time. All right.
Yeah.
Liz.
Yeah.
You beat me to the punch.
Liz
ate my lunch.
That's she reheated your... No, you were trying to reheat... You're trying to reheat her nachos.
I was trying.
Yeah.
I was trying. It ain't gonna happen.
Well, no, I mean, because it's a good idea. Because a lot of places do show up on these shows multiple times.
Yeah, it's interesting. What do you think about what do you have to say about their investigation of Or where do you want to go? Where do you want to take this?
Well, I mean, why don't we say like what the deal is with Preston Castle?
Okay.
So yeah, it was a boys' reformatory. That sounds extremely hardcore, like too hardcore. I don't know what the hell was going on here. It opened in 1894. It closed in the 1960s, and the youngest kid who was sent there was 8 years old. And you could be sent there for something as minor as stealing a loaf of bread. And then you're in this like lockdown place where kids were killed for trying to escape.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? So yeah, there were multiple murders there. For kids just trying to like get away and like crawl up a fence, and then they're shot.
It's crazy.
And there was also a housekeeper who was murdered, and it's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in California. So that's the setting.
And what an awful place.
Yeah, horrendous.
Yeah.
So I can see why a bunch of ghost shows rolled through.
They also in the show talk about a girl who drowned in a well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then,
that was actually in the basement of the hotel they were staying at.
Oh, okay. I got my wires crossed on
Yeah.
that. Yeah, because Rob Lowe then sees the well and goes, "There's the well."
Mm-hmm.
So the story's true.
Yep.
I'm like, well, that's not.
I know that it's true that there's a well here.
It's not necessarily correct.
Yeah, it seems like maybe so they're staying at this hotel, and it seems like maybe somebody told them, and maybe somebody heard that they were there for ghost stuff.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, there's a ghost thing here. There's this well in the basement, and yeah, that's really all that happens with it.
Yeah, it felt irrelevant.
I guess it's worth putting on film.
Sure, why not?
But they don't really investigate it or anything.
This
It's a
has to
creepy
be
looking well.
one of the most laid back
Oh,
ghost
yeah.
hunting shows I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're chilling.
In a way where I was like, I'm almost jealous. This is the vibe to
Yeah.
me. And I think that it's so comfy, cozy, fun. And arguably, they try to do that thing where like each guy has their own sort of angle on things. Rob Lowe wants to believe, he says.
Yeah.
Matthew... John Owen just doesn't believe at all. And Matthew tries to come at everything from a very scientific perspective.
Yes.
Which is close to John Owen.
I know. They basically seem like they're on the same page.
They're
But yeah, there's
both
one
skeptics.
line
Yeah.
where he's explaining everybody's stance. And it's like, okay, so they both don't believe.
They both don't believe, and you say you want to believe, which means you don't believe.
Right.
Got it. None of you believe.
Yeah. But Rob Lowe seems like he's more on the belief scale.
He looks like he has the same expression on his face as if he was staying at the Four Seasons.
Yeah,
As if he was, sleeping at the Waldorf Astoria.
He's a kid in a candy
He's
store.
just
the entire
smirking his
time.
way through the entire episode with his crooked smile.
Crooked smile, crooked, what's it called? Beanie. Did you notice that he had his beanie cocked jaunty?
A glance.
I was like, oh God, look at this.
Was that?
Like
Do you think that was a style choice?
Yes, I definitely do.
Really?
Which I found cringy.
I can't tell what I didn't get much cringiness off of him. Did
No,
you?
that's like the only thing that I was like, ooh. Look at Joe Hollywood here wearing his beanie to the side.
Well, that's the funny thing is I didn't get a ton of Joe Hollywood off of him,
no.
except for how pampered I believe he is.
I would imagine, yes.
Like, he really looks like he doesn't have a care in the world.
No, I don't think
He's
so.
probably a millionaire several times over.
Yeah, gotta be.
He's got, like, no problems.
No, he's got a wonderful life with his sons. Look, I know he really went through it with addiction. He's sober.
He's been
now.
sober for decades upon decades.
He seems to do work helping other people become sober.
You get some weird stuff if you look at his Wikipedia page.
Oh, you sure do.
You saw that stuff?
I just know it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like accusations. The typical...
You're talking about the tape, right? Is that what you're talking
Oh
about?
God! Well, the tape. Yeah, I wasn't even talking about the tape. No, there were people who worked at his house that like accused him of like
Oh, then I don't.
of like making passes at them and
no.
sexual harassment and stuff.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
But it's genuinely unclear what's going on, only because he then sued. This is normal. Like they always countersue, right? But he was like, "Yeah, no, like the chef that worked for me like had sex on my bed." It was like I think there may have been levels on which he was also sort of like taken advantage of. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Sure.
No one knows the truth. I don't know. What do you want to do?
I see.
But he had a sex tape scandal
Yeah.
in the early 90s. No bueno.
Yeah, it was no bueno.
But it was seemingly what led to him being sober.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think he seems to be a good guy overall.
Yeah, he seems to be.
That's
this is
why
the
I
tricky
say
thing.
seems to
I
be.
know,
I don't know
It's
him.
impossible to
Yeah,
today. Is
but-
it possible to talk about a celebrity without being like, well, we think they're all right? I don't know.
No,
It's not possible.
No, I don't know them.
Do you know what
I don't know you.
You know what I've seen? This is almost just like a PSA to the world. I see people talk about like whatever latest scandal with whatever latest celebrity where they're like, this guy screwed up big time. And then someone somewhere goes like, that's why you got to remember you can never put your celebrities up on a pedestal. You don't know these people for real. None of them are great. And everyone's like, yeah, you're right. None of them are great. And then someone always writes, except Conan.
No,
Except so-and-so, except this guy. I'm like, well, you're instantly undoing the thing you said not to do.
Yeah, right.
Stop putting people on pedestals and expecting them to be perfect.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. And stop then tagging it with, well, except for yada yada.
Right.
No, then you're doing it again.
Right. They're
Stop
but
it.
people. We don't know them.
We don't know these people. They're not your friends.
Yeah.
You don't know them.
I don't know.
Who knows?
So, I don't know. He seems to be a good guy. Like watching his little smile
Except
here.
John Owen.
Of course. Don't you dare say an unkind word about John Owen.
If you hurt one hair on John Owen's head, I will burn
You'll
this
have to
house
hear
to the
from
ground.
me.
I will burn my own house to the ground.
Yes. So that's the environment they go into. On the way there, there's a lot of they do some family talk or whatever. Rob's wife, John Owen Matthews' mother Cheryl, is worried that they're going to get possessed.
This was weird.
But don't worry, Shaman John is going to meet them there.
He drops
And
Shaman John into conversation so casually in a way where I'm like, ooh, Hollywood.
Yeah.
This is,
yeah.
Kristen, that's why I call that place Holly Weird.
That's right. William, you told me that phrase a couple weeks ago. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
I may or may not have come up with that cool phrase.
Yeah, definitely did.
He goes, your mom contacted Shaman John. Remember that shaman that she and I met at Big Sur? It's like, oh boy, this is the most California
What is this?
Hollywood man thing. Remember that shaman that your mother and I met at Big Sur? Yeah, of course, Dad. Of course I do.
So, what do you make of Shaman John? He meets them at the hotel before they get to the Preston Castle location.
I don't have much of a cynical take on this show.
Yeah.
At least at this point, I don't know.
Yeah.
Shaman John is just some guy.
He's just a guy. He's just a man.
He's just a man.
Right.
Shaman John looks like he works at Home Depot.
Yeah.
He
yeah.
is middle of the road white dude.
Right.
Goes by the name Shaman John.
That's the thing.
And then he talks about his like shamanic teachings. Now listen, boring white guys can do anything. We've proven that.
time and time again.
Time and time again, we've proven we can do it all. Shaman John.
I know, I agree. I can't help but look askance at any white person calling themselves shaman. I understand being into
Take
spiritual...
up plumbing, Shaman John.
Look, you can be into whatever spiritual
Yeah.
beliefs or whatever. I just don't know about profiting off of being a shaman as a white person.
shaman.
I don't know about all this.
It's just so funny because like it has a smackling of like, oh,
smackling.
it's like we're gonna have a shaman come in. You're like, oh, that'll be kind of. And it's just some other
Shaman
white guy,
John?
another white dude. Hey, it's me, Shaman John. Yeah. What's up? I was just watching the big game.
You're like,
What do you
okay,
want? You want me to hang out with you, Rob Lowe? You got it.
Be right there, bud.
Give me money and I'll do whatever.
Now, having said all that, if we eliminated shaman from this man's name,
It's just John.
and they just meet John, frankly, I liked John.
Just Big John, who's got a hobby of carrying EMF readers.
Quite frankly, I enjoyed John's presence.
Yeah, he was
I
fine.
found him playful and fun.
Yes, it's the shaman of it all.
Yeah, exactly. I liked that he wore a shearling vest.
Now, what is this?
Okay. So imagine
Shearling vest.
you take imagine you take an Ugg boot. You understand how there's like fuzzy stuff inside an Ugg boot?
I do.
Okay, that's shearling and the outside is suede. His whole vest was made out of that. The outside was suede, the inside was shearling. You can see the shearling kind of popping out. It was lining it, okay?
Okay, all
At
right.
one point, he's wearing a shearling vest. Then the temperature starts to drop a little bit, turns into shearling coat. I was like, what other shearling stuff?
Oh,
does
like it
this
was a
guy-
different unit of material
clothing
of clothing.
altogether. Yeah.
Wow.
How much shearling stuff does this guy have?
That's interesting.
A shearling for all seasons.
He does, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The shaman and shearling.
The shaman and shearling.
That could
what
be his
great
marketing.
branding.
Yeah.
How fun.
If you have
Now, I looked him up. He's still out there. He's still doing his thing.
he's still doing his shamanic
Yep.
teachings.
Shamana. Also good branding.
Jamin the Shaman. John Shaman John? Well, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're wearing that vest where it's like warm inside
Yeah.
and suede outside, if you get too hot, can you turn the vest inside out? And
I don't think it's going to do anything.
the insulation is now away from you. So would that keep you cooler?
I don't know.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying. Because, yeah, your body heat isn't now heating up the shirling. Maybe.
I wouldn't be against some sort of a type of clothing that's good for warmth, but then if you just turn it inside out, it's cooler.
Neither would I.
You own less stuff now.
I wouldn't say no to that.
Sorry, everyone. I'm sweating. I'm getting a little swamp ass. I'm going to turn my pants inside out real quick. Everyone okay with this?
Yeah, and now you're
Sir, this is church. You're in church.
Now your sweaty swamp ass pants are on the outside. So you see sweat stains.
Well, I didn't think this through. Luckily, I can't see back there. You know who I feel bad for is anyone behind me.
That's the thing. It's not your problem. So I'm still not against these pants. It's whatever.
Ignore the stains, honey. I was feeling a little warm.
So that's Shaman John. I just wanted to touch down.
It's worth talking about Shaman John.
Yeah, it's always worth talking about Shaman John. And he puts their mind at ease about there being possession or anything like that, because he says that he has put together plant oils of cedar, sage, frankincense, myrrh, and a half a dozen others that are used to clear space and protect from spirits, and that they'll take a little swig and then poof, 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 all over the place.
Spit this nasty bottle.
This nasty ass bottle that they'll pass around.
Yeah, I do like
take a pull from and then spit back out.
I like the idea that Rob Lowe's wife texted the shaman they met at Big Sur to say, keep an eye out for the boys. Mm-hmm. I like that Rob Lowe, in sitting down with Shaman John, describes, he's like, now my wife Cheryl is worried about the kids. And his sons, who are like in their 20s, are sitting right behind him. I like that he called them the kids.
I find their whole family dynamic very adorable. I really love it.
I loved it. I loved it 10 years ago, and I love it even more now.
Me too. It's very cute.
And I also love that they were talking about the concoction that Shaman John had put together, including, as you said, frankincense and myrrh. Mm-hmm. And then they have a little sidebar talking about, like, well, why frankincense and myrrh? It's like, well, those were the gifts that the three wise men were said to have brought to Jesus when he was born.
Right.
Frankincense and myrrh. Mm-hmm. Because I've never occurred to me why. Right. Why frankincense and myrrh? And they talk about it, and they say that those are protective things, that they can like purify you or cleanse you or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and like that's not why.
Okay.
it's like folklorically the nativity birth as written is like not how it happened. And so there were not three wise, like historically versus like what's in the Bible. So like that supposedly did not occur that way at all.
It's really. Did the three wise men just bring two gifts? What was the third gift?
Gold.
Oh, okay.
Gold, which is far more tangibly.
Yeah, than frankincense and myrrh.
And then there was a fourth guy who had a Nintendo Switch.
Oh, nice. That's the best of all.
Pretty dope.
Yeah.
But so that frankincense and myrrh, what I read, and I also just kind of was like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, start getting like that.
I was like, it said something about frankincense and myrrh literally being about implying that these men came from all over the globe.
Oh, okay.
Frankincense is from a particular location. Myrrh is from a different location.
Makes sense.
So the implication was that these three wise men had just traveled from far to meet him. Mm-hmm. And frankincense and myrrh were just indications of like, they came from so far away.
Yeah.
They came from the place where frankincense is.
Yeah.
It wasn't about purifying baby Jesus with like a smudge stick, to get demons off of him.
Right.
Right. Like it was a different. And I enjoyed it in the context of the show being like it was purifying.
Yeah.
That's cool. Like that's really interesting. I was just curious, but it seemed like it was horse pucky.
Not true. Well, you know who else thought it was horse pucky was Matthew, because right after Shaman John tells the thing about how they're going to take this and it'll be purifying, Matthew says, "This is ludicrous."
This is ludicrous. The boys.
Yeah.
Matthew and John Owen.
They don't hold back.
They have a good head on their shoulders.
Yeah, they do.
I think Matthew and John Owen. Mm-hmm. They have a good attitude about doing this stuff. I think that they're also enjoying doing this together and with their dad.
Yes, it's very cute.
Yes, but Matthew, I'll have something interesting to say about Matthew in a little bit.
Okay.
But John Owen, I think he's the younger brother.
Yeah.
And he's got more attitude.
Yeah.
Which is very younger brother-y, of being like, well, this is This is just stupid. You're just building your own narrative now. Like he will cut something to the quick way faster than Matthew will. So this sort of is jumping ahead, but like they're walking through the reformatory and they're doing the night vision camera stuff and at night, whatever. And they've got whatever that radio thing is that lets a ghost talk through it.
Yeah. There's some sort of machine they have that like spits out a word like every like 3 seconds or something like that.
Right. And so they're going downstairs and they're getting close to the kitchens of the boys' reformatory. And all of a sudden the voice on the thing goes, pie.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect word.
Yeah.
The perfect word to come out on the Lowe files.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, it's a fun, silly word.
It's a fun, silly pie.
Pie.
And Rob Lowe was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
How did it know to say pie when we're close to, the kitchens?
Right.
John Owen had said pie. And John Owen is like, he's almost struggling to put into words why he's like, yeah, but it's,
yeah.
I mean, it's still just a loose coincidence. He goes, but it's pie. It said pie. Like Rob Lowe also is not enunciating very well. There's a disconnect between father and son.
Yeah.
Where like you can hear the unspoken words of like Rob Lowe being like, but isn't it weird?
Yeah, that it happened
pie?
To say pie when we're in a place where pie is made.
And John Owen's essentially making the point, weird may be one thing, but it doesn't mean there's a ghost. But the two of them can't speak that way. They're just going like,
yeah.
It just, I loved that the stammer between them. But Dad, it's just, okay. All right. And John Owen's getting like a little, he's not heated. He's not agitated. He's just like,
he's kind of like annoyed at
it's
his
just
dad.
so
He's
stupid.
Like, come on. Like,
why are you so
ridiculous.
excited about the ghost saying pie?
Yeah.
I loved it. It was the perfect thing to happen on specifically the Lowe files.
Yeah, you're totally right. So let's continue talking about this investigation after we have a little break to make sure you know about patreon.com/GT2UPod, where you can go to get so much more Guide to the Unknown, because we actually have a second weekly podcast that comes out every Monday called the Netherworld Dispatch. So when you go to Patreon, you can cruise around the tiers, see what we got over there, see what works for you, choose something, and get a ton of stuff, because we have 208 episodes of the Netherworld Dispatch as it stands right now. They keep coming every week. God love us.
They won't stop. We keep trying to stop them.
They just keep pouring forth. And like we said,
we weren't even doing them.
No, they just keep happening. I don't understand
They're happening to us.
Yeah. And like we said, there's a new episode of Dead Time. So that's the 6th episode of this show where Liz Sauer of Ghosts in the Burbs and I recap different paranormal reality shows. It's all waiting for you.
There's great Jack Osborne analysis.
Yeah.
Great Osborne family information. I didn't know about the multitude of podcasts that they've done.
Yes. They
It's
have an NPR now.
Dive in, everybody.
Yeah.
Dead Time. Mm-hmm. Dead Time.
Dead Time.
And the most recent episode of the Netherworld Dispatch, as you said, is 208. The final Blair Witch game. Maybe ever.
Yeah.
Kristen and I
Or maybe
played
not.
the mixed reviewed 2019 big budget AAA Blair Witch game on PlayStation 5.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of glitchy. It's kind of buggy.
That's all right. What
Kind
can
of
you do?
annoying. Kind of makes you sick.
But, we talk you through it, so you don't even need to watch the video. It's no big deal. Most people just listen to Netherworld Dispatch.
It's super fun. I love talking about the Blair Witch, obviously.
Yeah.
I love talking about the lore of that game and in the ways that it attempts to or is unable to connect to the lore of the movies. I'm just fascinated by that kind of thing. And so go check that out. I ended up having to, I didn't even tell you this, I ended up having to play that game synced up with our show because the video was all screwed up.
Yeah.
So I had to play
Allie
the game
told me.
along to the edit and try to match them up.
Thank you for doing that.
Crazy. Every Blair Witch episode we do, there's something that I either go like, oh, it would be smart if I went above and beyond, or there's something where like, something's bugged out.
Yeah.
Blair Witch, the curse, Kristen.
I'm about to say, it's probably her.
The true curse.
She's messing things up. She likes to mess with technology and gadgets.
This is too scary.
Yeah. Actually, you guys probably shouldn't even watch this video. Who knows what'll happen to you at home?
Yeah, I don't mean I want you to, so.
No, William,
Oh, you're doing
you
reverse.
Yeah.
You're treating our audience like a 4-year-old
William,
where you're
God
trying to
damn,
get to
no,
go to
I'm
bed.
not doing that. No, I'm not. I respect you all. I know you're smarter than that.
Sure. Patreon.com/GTTUpod. Thank you so much to everybody who backs us. It makes a considerable difference.
Yes.
Genuinely. Very, very genuinely. We also love to read reviews on the show. I've got a lovely one here from SEK426, my go-to podcast. Guide to the Unknown is hands down my favorite podcasts. I don't know why I said it in plural. It doesn't say it there.
That's all right.
The topics are super interesting. The research is top-notch, and the banter between Kristen and Will make you laugh out loud. Their Patreon is also worth every penny. Thanks for making my workdays more bearable. 5 stars.
Thank you so much. That's so nice.
Thank you.
I love to think that you guys are out there listening.
Yes.
At work, putting it on. You really put me there, SEK. So thank you very much. Thank you to everybody who leaves us reviews. It means a lot to us. It helps other people check out the show. And if you haven't left a review already, we would really appreciate it if you did. You can leave us a written review like that over on Apple Podcasts. You can leave us a starred review on Spotify or other places that you get your podcasts. And thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep. All right. So we're going to jump to a little commercial break, but we'll be right back to talk about John Owen, Matthew, and that other dude. You know who I was talking about. It was Rob Lowe.
Oh, Rob.
Okay. So I feel like the big daddy of the evidence in this investigation, like the most fun thing to watch, was that light thing.
Yeah.
That happens in the basement.
I agree. What is that thing?
I don't know. I've never seen it before nor since. I remember when I watched it back in the day, I felt the same way. I was like, what the hell is that? And I don't think that I've encountered it.
Yeah, just
after.
This is where it's like, just like every other ghost show, they have their gizmos, their whizmos and wadgets.
Yeah.
And just like every other ghost show, especially lately, I've come to realize, like, well, who says these things work?
Totally.
Who's been saying this? Like, even when they're talking to Shaman John.
Yeah, just have a tech company and you just make a thing and say that it does this.
This detects a ghost.
Right.
Shaman John is like, people say that this EMF reader, that this can pick up frequencies. It's just like, right. No one has a source for this.
Right.
People say. It's just people say.
Totally. Well, because we don't even know that ghosts are real. So if you can't prove ghosts are real, you can't prove that these things detect them.
I think we need to move into a post-EMF world.
I couldn't agree more.
They've only taken us so far.
Yeah, I really don't give a rat's hiney about these little things.
Now, we've done...
Except for this. I did like this machine that they had.
Well, this is where it's like ghost shows...
I shouldn't say except for this, but, you know.
Ghost shows, to me, have almost become like psychological experiments of like, what do the people doing the hunt take away from it?
Yeah.
Because the EMF reader is only going to be able to tell you like, oh, it spiked up to a 5. Like, okay, well, what does that mean? I'm way more
interested in your reaction to it spiking to a 5. And as we've said ad nauseum, I'm more interested in their goosebumps on ghost adventures than, you know, whatever gadget they have.
Absolutely. That's we're hitting the end of the effectiveness of an EMF reader. But so they've got some other puck thing, whatever, that can light up and it can turn green or yellow or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like it has like pipes, kind of like an organ. There are these like things that are sticking up with it that can light up, so the light can... I feel like that was the main feature that makes it cool, that the light can move across this in a way that you can see. So it's not just like a light blinking once or whatever. It's like, so does this mean if I'm watching it like move left to right, is a ghost moving left to right in front of it? Or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't know if that's the intent of that machine or not, but it makes you feel that, which is fun.
It also looked a little bit like the crystals in Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
You're right.
Where it's like a little bit fiber optic-y. They're clear crystal looking things that can light up.
Or like glue sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, you shine a light through them and they carry the light. I didn't understand what it was, but they're sitting there talking to the light and being like, are you the ghost of so-and-so? If so,
Anna,
make the light green.
The housekeeper.
Right. And the light does not go green. So they're like, okay, so it's not Anna.
Well, it's specifically at that point, it turns a different color. So they freak out because it turns red. Right. And they're like, whoa. Like, so it's responding in the negative, which makes it seem like something is very deliberately communicating. And I think that's one of the things that John Owen during this whole sequence is like, my skepticism is being challenged. Like, he is rocked by this little machine.
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it was very cool.
Now, you and
I could see that having an impact, being like, whoa.
You and I have gone on a couple of ghost hunts.
Yeah.
We went to whatever that house was last year or 2 years ago. They didn't want us to say the name of it, so if you remember.
Oh, I don't. Okay, yeah.
Remember, we were not allowed to tell where we went.
I didn't remember that, so I'm glad you said that.
But we went into the basement of this like historical house, and they had some sort of a puck that makes lights.
Yeah.
And it's like arguably like functional. It was a different thing from what John Owen and Rob Lowe had, but like functionally it served the same purpose. We stand over here and you look in that corner and there's this puck thing. And if something goes near it, it'll make a sound and or light up.
Yeah. And
here's my present day feeling, which changes all the time depending on what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
If you sit in a room talking to a light that seems to flicker on and off at random, and you just keep talking to it.
Right. If you wait long enough, it's probably
statistically, if you sit there asking enough questions, at some point, it's like when you watch like what's like a good example of this? You ever pay attention to like people's blinkers on their cars? And you're like, oh, the two cars, you're stuck in traffic. The two cars in front of you have their left turn blinker on and they're blinking out of sync.
Yeah.
And then periodically they start to like almost like sync up for a beat and then they fall out of sync again.
Yeah.
It's like you sit there and you ask enough questions. At some point, the thing's going to light up or make a sound right after you've asked a question.
Right.
And because we look for patterns as human social creatures, you derive some sort of tangible connection. I asked a question, it did a thing.
Yeah, totally.
But it might just be random, especially because you've now spent hours upon hours hammering these teeny pieces of equipment with questions.
And hyper focused on looking for some sort of response to what you're doing.
Yes, that's more or less my feeling. But I also know that being there in the moment and filming something, you can have a heightened enough experience that you might be like, I don't even know what to make of this. This is great. Like in the moment. But even after that ghost hunt that you and I did, I remember like in the moment trying to be very like in it and pay attention to it and participate and respectful and yada, yada, yada. And then after the fact, I remember kind of defaulting back again to being like, could all just be coincidence.
Yeah.
And that's more or less how I felt here. But again, it's fascinating to watch the people have their experience more so than the quote unquote evidence.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I completely agree.
Did you feel that Rob Lowe ended up walking out of there believing more or less?
I don't know. I got the impression that he is like a believer, honestly, even though he said that he's like skeptical. I felt like this guy was like all in from the word go.
Yeah.
And I felt like he was still all in and he enjoyed that he got to experience some of it with his boys.
About the journey.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think
that was my impression.
I think sometimes skeptics say like, I'm open to it when really they're not.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes believers go, I'm skeptical when really they're not.
Yeah.
And maybe you're right. Maybe Rob Lowe is more.
That's just my
Yeah, of course I'm a little bit skeptical.
Right.
And he's sitting there like, that's a ghost. The ghost said pie.
Yes, I feel like he's very in it. Remember, this is the man who brought us Shaman John from Big Sur.
Exactly. That shaman that your mother and I met at Big Sur, Shaman John, she texted him about you.
Right. I don't necessarily think that he thinks every single bump in the night is a ghost, but I think he went in thinking there are ghosts here. Yeah. And he felt he had that confirmed.
Now, how about John Owen? You think he walked out of there?
Not really. I think probably with distance, it would be, it's basically just what you said. I think that probably in the moment, it's like, oh my God, this is so exciting. What's going on? But with distance, you're like, yeah, but really? Yeah. Like, you kind of think about it from a little bit more of an objective standpoint. Now, and I kind of think that bears out in future episodes of the Lowe Files. I don't know the order they shot these in, but I don't think that this changed him.
What about Matthew?
I think he remained pretty skeptical throughout.
I think so too. I didn't get a ton off of Matthew.
He was pretty excited about that ball rolling. So they split up basically like
this sucked, by the way. If I were Matthew, I'd be like, this beefs it.
But in the absence of anything else, he was pretty pumped about it. But it was kind of funny that they interspersed the ball rolling, which is like nothing, with than Rob Lowe and John Owen with that thing lighting up, which is really fun and felt like, oh my God, it's answering or whatever.
Yeah.
And felt so much more consequential. It was like, these are not equal. They are not
a
the
ball
same.
rolling a little bit, which could be any breeze, any whatever.
Totally. And he was like, the floor seems pretty even here. And it's like, yeah, but
Seems
I mean,
pretty even, sure.
who the hell knows? Now, Shaman John had a little bit of fun with that ball, which I appreciated. He bounced the ball down the stairs to where John Owen and Rob Lowe were. So they're like, oh, what was that? I liked that.
Shaman John.
I know. He's a bit of a rascal.
That's not something you'd expect.
You don't have to say no to all fun just because you invite in the spiritual.
It's not the behavior I expect from a shaman. To be doing some sort of a ghost prank.
Laughter is spiritual, man. You gotta let in the joy.
I didn't quite get that off of Shaman John. I got like cracking a Bud Light is how I connect to the spirit realm. Beef jerky. That's the closest you can get to the Great Spirit.
You know who would play Shaman John in the Low Files the movie? Stephen Root.
Yes. Just sort of, I totally agree. Just sort of like slightly tough guy energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like a neutral guy.
A tiny bit rugged.
Yeah.
A touch rugged. So I want to talk to you about Matthew.
Yeah.
Real quick. So in doing research, I was curious about the people. And that's how I found out that Rob Lowe and his family were on Celebrity Family Feud.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
No, I watched it when it was on.
You did?
I love Celebrity Family Feud.
Well, so does Rob Lowe's wife, Cheryl. Because he surprised his wife with being on Celebrity Family Feud for her birthday. He lured her to the studio saying that they were going to do some sort of a photo shoot for her birthday and then literally brought her out onto the stage at the start of the show.
Right.
Where she's like, what? So it's the Rob Lowe family versus Terrence Howard. And not his family. Just like him and Diana Ross's sons.
Boy, I don't remember this. Maybe I just saw a clip or something.
Very strange.
That's weird.
But Rob Lowe, I was excited to see it because
Terrence Howard and Diana Ross's sons?
No, I don't think. I don't know what was going on. He was there with his fiance Mira, Terrence Howard, and then two guys who he introduced as being. I think it was Diana Ross's sons.
It could be. Evan Ross is now married. He's married to Ashley Simpson now.
Okay.
They're on the scene.
Okay. And I was just like, okay, so it's not really a family on the other side, potentially. Yeah. It's just a bunch of friends.
Hey, they're buds. Yeah.
Just buddies.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I was excited to see Terrence Howard.
Did Terrence Howard's math come up?
He's strange.
He's very strange.
No, Terrence Howard was quite frankly great.
Oh, okay.
He's quite frankly wonderful.
Okay, glad to hear it.
I definitely wanted him to be doing like the weird math of being like adding up the scores and being like 201. No. That's not a real number, Steve.
Right. That's conventional math.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But no, none of that. And Rob Lowe was smiling. His wife was very happy to be there.
Yeah.
They had John Owen and Matthew, and boy, they were pretty bad. They were pretty bad at the game. Matthew in particular, I have to say, I found it his. So he's a lawyer now, Matthew, and John Owen has continued in the industry, largely with Rob Lowe.
Yeah, they had a Netflix show together.
Yes, it was called Unbearable.
I don't think it's called that.
I think it was something like that.
Maybe something like that, but it's definitely not called Unbearable. I'll find out.
It was John Owen and Rob Lowe. It was based on their relationship of somebody who's sort of egotistical and likes being the center of attention and is overly positive and weird.
Yeah.
And his son.
Unstable.
Right? Close. And so, anyway, they have one thing where it's like, name something. Steve Harvey was incredible, by the way. He was really on he was really on point in this episode.
Family Feud, what a show.
He was hitting.
And then Celebrity Family Feud is even better.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
He kept saying to Matthew, because Matthew was so sort of like bad at the game. It was like something that you give to your wife to get her out of a bad mood.
Yeah.
And it's Matthew's turn. He goes, a gift. I go, a gift. They like look off stage like, we need you to be more specific.
Yeah.
And he goes, a present.
Oh boy. This is not great. I can see why he didn't go the entertainer route.
Yeah. And then every time that it came back around to him, Steve would go, Matthew, I'm sorry to bother you. I know you don't want to be here. But I need you to try to I need you to try to pull it together for this
Pick
one,
it up,
Matthew.
pal.
Yeah, it was like very like, I think Matthew is the not entertainer of the family. He's a lawyer, and his brain could not do Family Feud. It just would not do it. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And you could see John Owen, who didn't go by John Owen, he went by Johnny Lowe.
Interesting.
Yep, no more John Owen.
I wonder if he's credited as John Owen or Johnny Lowe for Unstable, because I know that he was on the press, circuit for this show, and he was on Watch What Happens Live and stuff, and he went by John Owen.
Really?
Maybe he's been
He was
pinging
testing
back
it
and
out.
forth. Yeah.
He was testing it out.
Yeah.
He didn't get heated at all, like he did on the show, but you could see. I felt like I could see a touch of agitation with his brother or with his family.
That's fun.
It was very cute.
I like
It was
that.
very cute.
Do you remember when everybody got mad at Steve Harvey a few years ago for having like a sign on his door at Family Feud?
It was more than a sign.
What was the deal? It was
He
a letter?
sent around a memo.
Yeah.
Around the studio being like, no more grabbing me when I walk down the hall. Not physically grabbing me, but you can't take my attention away when I'm walking down the hall. Don't talk to me.
Right.
Don't visit me in my office.
Right.
Basically, It was a big memo that said, leave me alone unless you pick office hours kind of a thing.
I stand with Steve Harvey.
I think it's a matter of bedroom manner.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Maybe he didn't
Bedside
write it.
manner? Bedroom
I knew
manner?
I knew what you meant.
I don't know anything about Steve Harvey's bedroom manner. Although one of the guys in Terrence Howard's family, they were like, this was so funny.
He did write that book that I think probably sucks, but it was like, I don't know, some sort of relationship book that people I have known who kind of suck, maybe I should say, whatever, have been like, oh, this is a great book about like how women should be with men or whatever.
Steve Harvey can eat a big bag of shit, in my opinion. He's very funny on Family Feud, but boy, do I dislike. He's got this whole thing he said about, he's like, I don't talk to anybody who doesn't believe in God. If you don't believe in God, he goes, I've never met an atheist. Someone says they're an atheist, I walk away. He goes, if you don't believe in the Bible, if you don't believe in God, what's your morality? You have no morality. And it's like, dude, I don't need the Bible to tell me not to kill people.
Yowie.
Like, go fuck yourself, Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's enough.
I'm
fine with the general principle behind that letter, though.
Of lines and privacy. And I can't disagree with that. Yeah. For all I know, people were just being like, Steve, I need you to do this and that and this and that and this and that.
Or just because he's funny and stuff, like thinking that he wants to talk constantly.
Sure, that's totally possible. I will say the men were on display as having their heads shoved right up their asses. That question about if your wife is in a bad mood, what do you do? One of the guys on Terrence Howard's family, he's like buzzing in. It's him versus, I think her name was Carolyn. She was the nanny for John Owen and Matthew and then stayed on as Rob Lowe's assistant. He's like, she's part of our family. She's been with us for 25 years. So she's up against, I don't even know, because it was just like a bunch of Terrence Howard's friends.
Yeah.
And so Terrence Howard's friend buzzes in first and he goes, the chapow. The now.
Yeah, little
the in the bedroom, Steve. And he's like, okay, show me.
But of course, there are requirements before you do that with Terrence Howard. He's going to send you into the bathroom to use baby wipes.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, there was a scandal because he taught to, I think, GQ about how women must clean themselves up before he will bestow his gift to them in the moment. And it was like, okay.
Oh, Terrence.
That and then Terrence math.
Terrence
Be
math.
gone.
Teriology.
Yeah.
Psychotic people.
Yeah.
But so that was not on the board. And then Steve Harvey's assistant goes, dinner. And it was the number one answer.
Yeah, I was about to say,
it was the number one answer. And Steve Harvey makes fun of it. He's like, so we just had the chapow, the now, or like whatever it was, some big rhyme. Yeah. And he goes, and dinner. She doesn't mess around. But no one points out.
Just something nice and normal.
She was so right. It was the number one.
Yeah.
It was the number one.
I'm not surprised and then, at all. I would have said food.
And then all the guys, like at some point, somebody's like, kisses. It's just like, you idiots.
I mean,
kisses was up there. It was up there.
Yeah,
it was up there, but it was just like, it felt... So many of the men just felt so
dumb.
Now I'm a man too. I'm sure I'm just as dumb. I'll freely admit it. But on television, these men expose themselves in ways that they didn't realize they were doing. They just seemed so stupid.
How embarrassing.
So stupid.
I appreciated that during the show, Rob Lowe started a little very old school conversation with them where he's like, oh, it's nice to get away from the women, right, fellas? And Jono and Matthew were like, no.
Yeah, right.
We won't be doing that.
John Owen was like, if my girlfriend watches this, I do not view this as getting away from your clutches.
Yeah. Right.
And then, but Rob Lowe was like, listen, your wife's been with, or your mother's been with me for 30 years.
Yeah.
Me talking about her clutches is not going to be the thing. It was like, I think he was joking around.
Yeah. No, but it was a cute moment.
It was cute. It was cute.
Yeah.
He was trying to be like, it's just us boys.
Totally. I think it was joking.
It was joking.
But it was all very cute. Their family dynamic is the beating heart of the show.
I did not get some Tim Allen, I hate my wife attitude off of Rob Lowe.
No, I didn't either.
No.
I didn't either. It was cute. And they FaceTime her like multiple times during the show.
Yeah,
They clearly enjoy each other's company.
It was enjoyable. I like that Rob Lowe and his wife have been together for as long as they've been. They seem like they have a nice family dynamic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you want me to say? There is a grand. What do you want from me? Leave me alone. there's a grand finale to this episode of a sort.
Yeah.
Where like all the equipment starts to go haywire.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like basically how they sort of like leave it, where they're like, they put on the screen text that says what you are about to see is not edited for TV.
Right.
This is not staged. This really happened.
Yeah.
And I was prepared for like them to turn a corner and a little boy go like, hello, gentlemen, and then fade away in a puff of smoke. Yeah.
This really happened.
No, it's just that like the lights all went on at one time.
Yeah, it's like the EMF meter is jumping, the temp is dipping, and they're going through it. John Owen, again, is just really like, whoa, what is happening? What is going on here?
Yeah.
And Rob Lowe's little face is just like big eyes, mouth taut, just like, wow, what?
He does seem taut.
He's like this.
Yeah, he's pulled in some capacity, yes?
Yeah, I think so.
He's a good-looking fella, though, still.
Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. But you think he's gotten some work
I think he's
done?
had a nip and a tuck. Yeah. I think he probably, I mean, it looks good. Actually, I'm going back on it as I was going to say it. I was going to say, I would guess he may have had it a while ago or something when facelifts were a thing. Because I don't know that people are having facelifts the way that they used to get them or whatever. But now I'm not sure. I think that it's less severe now. Like I used to have hairdressing clients where I could see the scars behind their ears where they would get a facelift or whatever, because they literally would pull your face and then snip off skin or whatever.
Jesus
and
Christ.
Look a little weird. But no, he looks good. So I don't know what the hell's been going on, but he looks good. And I guess the reason I was going to say that I would imagine he had it a while ago when they were doing just more traditional like facelifts is because he's kind of looked good forever.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I bet it's a combination of genetics and he's probably had some stuff done.
Yeah.
I think he's richer than God, so he probably can have good work.
You think so? Mm-hmm. He's been around forever. Yeah. He's been in some pretty big stuff, but it's not as if you see him everywhere or something like that.
No, it seems like now he has a podcast now. Like I think he's kind of enjoying.
He's on Team Coco.
Yeah, he's on Team Coco.
Speaking of Conan.
Yep.
In fact, double speaking of Conan, I was about to say in terms of facelifts, there was some anonymized version of a story where I think it was Andy Richter, because he was like I sat on the couch on Conan for so many years. Some male celebrity, he couldn't stop staring because it had been obvious that this guy had gotten a million facelifts and his beard was growing behind his ears.
Yes, I remember hearing that. Yes.
Beard behind the ears.
Yeah,
that's a serious facelift.
Yeah.
Who had so much face?
Wow.
Who had so much face that it got pulled so far?
And why did nobody tell them? Like, I'm surprised that isn't addressed all the time, because that's very odd.
That's crazy.
Like somebody needed to tell them they need to be shaving or getting electrolysis there if they don't want their beard behind their ear.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's some crazy stuff.
Holly weird, right, Will?
Face la weird.
Yeah. It's good. Wow, you did it again. First now Holly weird you coined, now you've done Lala weird.
That might be a new term.
I think that one is.
Lala weird. It means a lot less.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
That's why I call it Lala weird.
What?
You do? Are you sure?
I think you're the only one.
Doesn't sound natural even when you say
it. So, Will, would you want to watch more episodes of The Lowe Files?
I would. I found it. This was like... This, there are some episodes of Guide to the Unknown where I feel like I sit down and like really, especially, I'm thinking about Zach Bagans in this case. We watch one of those shows and I'm rewinding to write down every stupid thing that he says.
Yep.
And that's part of the fun of it. But it's like, I put in like work. I try to like really like sit down and document. This time I felt like I was kicked back in a recliner with my hands folded behind my head. I could get used to this.
Oh yeah, let it wash over us.
Sometimes listen, could anyone begrudge us? We never miss a week. We have a good time episode with a laid back show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell
yeah. I do think I read that the following 8 episodes are half hour apiece.
Yes.
I could imagine doubling up.
Yeah.
So it's like we talk about their Bigfoot episode and their yada yada episode.
Yeah.
I could imagine that situation.
Sure, I'd be happy
but
to.
But I greatly enjoyed my time with the Lowe Files. I mourn the fact that it does not exist anymore. I did see there is some clip of him in the last handful of years, Rob Lowe, on one of his podcasts saying that he would love to do more.
Oh, if only.
We catch up with the Lowe boys 10 years on.
I would love that. Can you imagine? I'd be so thrilled if there was. I can't imagine this would happen, by the way. I'd be very shocked. But if there was an announcement that the Lowe Files was back,
it'd be like Twin Peaks season 3.
It would. Oh my God. That gum I liked is coming back into style, and that gum is the Lowe Files.
Hell yeah.
I'd fall backwards.
Greatly enjoyed it.
Me too.
Kristen, how do you feel?
I feel great. I would love to. Ditto.
And so mote it be. I have a feeling that we'll be returning to the Lowe Files someday. These are our Lowe Files files.
That's right. That's right. So thank you for going on the journey with us. We will be back with these boys at some point.
Yes.
And until then, we'll be doing all kinds of other crap. So if you would like even more kinds of crap, as we said before, you can go to patreon.com/GTTUpod. You can also follow us on social media where we always post when we have new shows out. We are at GTTUpod everywhere, and you can also follow us individually. I am at Chillin' Kristen.
I am at The Myth Traveler. So we will return next week, God knows where. Doing what?
I don't know.
I'm afraid to ask.
Me too.
But until that time comes, we must travel.
Back to the netherworld go we. Huh.
You know what?
What?
It was nice to do this. Just us, the boys.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and it also every episode closes with a voiceover of him being like, well, we visited Preston Castle, whatever. And he's like, I don't know what to think about what happened there, but I do know that the journey was worth it with my boys.
It's like very sweet.
Yeah.
It also we didn't say this either, but like it really sort of opens with them driving in their car and then pulling over because he's like, look at this, John Owen. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's a field.
Yeah.
Do you see that deer, Matthew?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it really that really smacked to me of like I don't know, rich
get out of the hills occasionally, Mr. Lowe.
Something, yeah. And then I guess a sheriff comes by and is like, "Okay, keep it moving."
Keep it moving. Yeah, they have to get back in their car because a cop showed up. Which, like, what's that cop doing?
I know. What do you care?
Let John Owen see a deer. He's never seen such a thing.
He's never seen one.
He's never seen a deer.
Hills. He doesn't know anything else.
Let the boy see some nature.
Yes, please.
Please. He's just a boy.
Yeah.
Officer, please, John Owen's just a boy.
That shows you they were really somewhere where this does not matter because the cop was not starstruck.
No.
He wasn't like, oh, Rob Lowe, yes, enjoy. He wasn't asking him for a signature outside of the donut place. He was like, okay, keep it moving, please.
Mr. Lowe, I want to thank you for your service in WW1.
That's so funny. He was in WW1 and WW2.